Welcome, everybody. I'm Ted Padromo. This is week 4 of Linked Accelerator. This week, we're going to focus on building your LinkedIn authority. So, by now, your LinkedIn foundation should be complete. Your profile update's in progress, and like I've said many times, your profile's like your website, it's never complete. You should always be updating it and adding content to it. So, building your authority, and what LinkedIn has done now is they came up with LinkedIn Pulse. Pulse was an app that ran on the iPad. I used it years ago, where you could create news feed content. You could pull content from New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Sports Illustrated, different blogs. So all of your news was pulled into this one app, so you could easily just scan through it every day and read the content you wanted to and just browse past the rest of it. So LinkedIn purchased Pulse a few years ago. And now with the introduction of LinkedIn Publisher, LinkedIn has declared it wants to become the largest publishing platform on the internet. And every day, thousands and thousands of articles are being posted on LinkedIn, which provides us a tremendous opportunity to establish ourselves as an authority. So, what makes you an authority? That's a really good question. Because I've been James Malinchek's mastermind. I've been going there for a couple of years, 2.5 years. I've been in James's community. And he really says, authority, what makes you an authority? It's perception. People perceive you as an authority. So let me show you how. Is it because you have an education? Maybe you went to Harvard or MIT. Does that make you an authority? It helps, but it doesn't alone. Does experience? I have over 30 years experience in the technology field. Does that make me an authority? It could, possibly. But education experience alone don't make you an authority. If I have all this knowledge and it's inside my head and I don't share it with anybody, nobody's going to know that I'm an authority. So publicity is giving someone a reason to talk about you. So getting the word out there, getting your content out there on a regular basis makes people perceive you as an authority. Years ago, I worked for Cellular One. I actually started work there in 1989, and there was 40 people that worked in the San Francisco office of Cellular One, and we only had a couple thousand subscribers because it was very expensive back then to have a cell phone. So this is kind of what the phones were like at the time. A lot of them were built into your car, but these were the portable phones when I started working there. I remember we had a party at one point after a couple of years of being there, and we got 10,000 subscribers in the San Francisco Bay Area, and there's 8 million people that live here. So you see, there wasn't a lot of penetration with cell phones at the time. So I was the first network manager at Cellular One, and it was a great position. I'll tell you, because we grew from 40 people to 1,200 people in 6.5 years. And by the time I left there, our IT department was two of us when we started. And when I left, I was managing 75 IT desktop and network support engineers. And it was like a kid in the candy store. I had an unlimited budget to buy whatever computers I needed because we were growing so fast. And we added, we went from 2 offices to over 40 offices in those 6.5 years. So we were growing like crazy, opening retail stores, and I got to spend money like crazy and play with new toys and new technology. So at this time, some of the leading network equipment was created by this Xyplex company, which was a spin-off of Digital Equipment Corporation. Some engineers started this. And because we were one of the top customers and we were buying some of Xyplex equipment just as it was coming out, and this is back in the days when computers were just starting to be networked together. If you can believe there was a time where computers were all standalone, they didn't communicate with each other. So this is like the bleeding edge of networking, and I was one of their top customers, and they would wine and dine me and take me out and fly me to Las Vegas for trade shows, and it was great. Good times. So they actually featured me in their 1992 annual report. So I became a celebrity. They brought a photographer out. We went around the Bay Area and took pictures by the Golden Gate Bridge, and I was actually featured in the annual report. So I became one of the most recognized network managers in Silicon Valley. At the time, the networking was just taking off, like I said, but I was perceived as being one of the top network managers, and I didn't know any more than other people. It was just that perception because I got that publicity. And because of that, I was actually interviewed. This is a Stephen Covey magazine at the time. I was interviewed for this Priorities magazine because I was in one of the top industries in the world, and I had two small children. I had just been married for a few years, so it was like balancing life with my family and having this incredible job. So they interviewed me for this, and I was actually in this Priorities magazine. Susie Orman was featured in it, so it was a real big deal. I was pretty amazed. So now, many years later now, I'm become one of the most recognized LinkedIn experts. And do I know more about LinkedIn than most people? A lot of the people I do know more, but there's lots of LinkedIn experts out there. But what makes me different or perceived as better than them? And really, we all have a lot of knowledge about LinkedIn, but I'm just getting more publicity at this time. As a result of that, I was interviewed in the New York Times last year. They called me up and they were doing an article about LinkedIn, finding jobs, using it to find jobs. So they interviewed me because they found me on LinkedIn and they found me on entrepreneur.com. They saw I was a published author. They perceived me as an expert. And this gave me a tremendous exposure when you're in the New York Times. I'll tell you, my phone was ringing off the hook after that. And my website visits just skyrocketed. So, how do you become an authority? It's really you learn about what's important in your industry today and stay current. That's but I've always been, because I've been in high tech for almost 35 years now. Wow, it's hard to say that. But I always had to read industry journals. Back then, before the internet, I subscribed to a lot of magazines, read a lot of books, went to a lot of trade shows because technology is constantly changing, as we know. So I had to stay current. And what's the latest networking equipment or what's the leading technology I need for my company? Another thing you do is look at the advertisements related to your industry and understand what the trends are. You can do that online now when you go to reading articles on web pages or on online magazines. There's ads in it. What ads are being shown? What's the newest technologies out there? Or what's the latest in your industry, whatever industry it is? They will be targeting ads towards that content. So you're going to know what the latest and greatest is. To write an article, you can submit it to industry magazines. It's not that hard to get into Fortune magazine or Forbes magazine or Huffington Post. Any big website wants lots of content. I've just got a friend of mine into Entrepreneur magazine on their website. He's written 3 or 4 articles for them. So I've actually had 2 or 3 people providing content on there. So it's not that hard. They're always looking for great content. So go to their website and find out. There's always a link that says if you want to submit content, contact this person. And it's not that difficult. Blog regularly. The more you blog and share that content through LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, you get perceived as an expert. Even if you recycle the same content. I remember Dan Kennedy said that years ago. I was at one of his conferences. He said, guys, I have to be honest with you. I only have like a year's worth of material I can teach you, but some of you have been subscribers of my newsletter for 12 years. I'm just recycling all the same information over and over and just phrasing it in different ways, repositioning it. And he's perceived as an expert now. So create a blog post based on your blog posts, or create a podcast based on your blog posts. Well, if you just write an article or blog post and you can read it and it becomes a podcast, or interview experts in your industry and you put it on iTunes and it can go viral. I just saw something where somebody was created a podcast of really, I can't remember what the content was, but it was very strange content. It wasn't that interesting to me, but over time he had over 100,000 subscribers on iTunes and he didn't do any marketing on it. And it was something, gosh, I wish I remember what it is, but it's something you wouldn't believe that people were interested in, but 100,000 people subscribed. Then he started a membership site where he charged for premium content of this podcast, and he charged like $2 a month or something, and he had 60,000 people subscribe to it. So he made this incredible amount of money just by posting on iTunes. Share your content on social media, like I said. Just, get Hootsuite or some tool like that, Buffer app, and you can push your content out to LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. There's Infinite sources. And I'll show you quite a few sources here coming up. You wouldn't believe how many places there are to post your content. And what happens is Google finds your content and you start showing up in search results. Create a video based on your blog post. You can repurpose the blog content into a video, so you don't have to keep creating unique content. Just repurpose it in different formats. And YouTube's the #2 search engine now. Actually, I heard it might be #3 now because Facebook might have jumped above that. But video is what people want to consume now, especially on the mobile devices. So you get it on YouTube, you can get thousands of visitors in a few days. Speak at industry and corporate events. They're always looking for great speakers at these events. And once you get your foot in the door, you're going to get so many opportunities you won't believe it. Send press releases to promote your speaking, writing, and seminars. And there's an art to that. So find a press release expert. Don't just start blasting press releases like you used to in the past. It's a whole different ballgame to get people's attention and get people to respond to it. But they really do work. And a friend of mine, Mickey Kennedy, works at ereleases.com, and he's actually in this class. So he can help you out. He knows exactly what's working in the press release world. Run your own seminar. I started a meetup group in 2008, and I started teaching social media back then, but this is way before LinkedIn and Facebook were popular. Friendster was some of the big stuff. Twitter was just getting started. But I would teach people how to use Twitter or how to use LinkedIn. I did a LinkedIn class back then. I used to teach WordPress, how to set up your own website. We'd have a workshop where they'd come in Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, and I would teach them how to set up a WordPress blog. And by the end of the day, they walked out of there with a built website. Join national trade organizations and offer to write articles for the newsletter. People need content, especially trade organizations, very specific content. So you're an expert in your area. Use that expertise and share it with your trade organizations. This can be kind of expensive, but you can rent a booth at your industry's national trade shows. You get a good booth in a good position, you can get lots of foot traffic. Like I said, authority equals perception. It's, we don't know any more than another expert in our area, but if we're perceived as the go-to person, people believe it. So the more content you share, the more people perceive you as an authority. And it's so easy to automate your content now. I have lots of content from my books that I had written, chopped up, and I just recycle that every 60 days over and over in different places through the internet. People don't know what they read 60 or 90 days ago, but it catches a different audience. Your networks are constantly growing. So you have new people in there that have never seen this content before. It's amazing. Sometimes the third or fourth time I've posted content, it's gotten more response than the first time. So you don't have to create all the content you share, like I said. I create about 25% of the content I share. There's so much good content out there. There's just, with LinkedIn Pulse, you can find great content, lots of different sources to get high quality content you can share, and you curate it, or you add your 2 cents to it, your perception of it, or your opinion, and share it. So here's 10 ways to create and share content. Share breaking industry news. This is really popular. You see it like with Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. Breaking news, some major world event happens, it hits Twitter first, then probably Facebook, and then LinkedIn. It's just, be one of those people that share that information. Be a curator and share your interesting content, like I said. Create blog posts from questions you receive from your customers. This is great because we all get questions, and answer the top 10 questions, or every month. Here's the top 5 questions I received from my customers last month. Great content for the web. Say thank you to people. Publicly say thank you. People love that when you acknowledge them. Review new products and services. This is really popular. There's always new products and services coming out in your industry. So just write a blog post and review it. Say, hey, I bought this new product. I tried it out. Here's the pros. Here's the cons. This is what I think you should buy it or not. Just give your opinion. Share your thoughts. And this is back when Twitter first started. It was like everybody was sharing every inner thought. It was like, ooh, too much information. Or now the food pictures. Thank God that's dying out. There's some people, every meal they've eaten for the last 5 years. Share your thoughts, but don't share too much. Be a connector. This is especially good on LinkedIn. Connect people that you think could work together. You meet somebody and say, oh, you'd be perfect to meet with Mary. Mary would be perfect for you. So you introduce them, connect them. Promote your company. This is your company page on LinkedIn or your Facebook page. It's just create content and promote your book, your new products and services. Interview industry experts. This is with podcasts. Just have a resurgence lately. They're so popular because everybody's always traveling. They're either in the car or they're on public transit going to work, so they have an hour or two a day. They listen to podcasts. And have fun. That's the key to it all. If you don't have fun and you think it's a job, it's going to come through in the way you write and speak. So establishing your authority on LinkedIn. So share an update. And this just came yesterday. I logged into LinkedIn, and this is the new look you're going to see. They've got a little snapshot of my profile. I can see my recent activity, and you can see your analytics on the right side there. And then you can share your update. And you see the pencil is where you can do the full blog post for LinkedIn Publisher, or the paperclip you can attach images. Share your content in your profile. A lot of this content I've posted on YouTube or SlideShare, and it pulls into your profile so people get to see the kind of work you do, the quality of work. So link your content on your blog or website to other sites like YouTube, so you can pull content right into your profile in LinkedIn. So here are there's image providers, video providers, audio providers, presentations, documents, lots of. So here's image providers. I didn't know most of these sites existed. TwitPic, Twitter, you can pull content in from all the major sites too. You can post images. So you get double exposure. If you post it on Twitter or on TwitPic, you get exposure there, and you also get exposure on LinkedIn. Look at all these video providers. Let's say you got interviewed on ABC News. You can pull that content right from ABC News right into your LinkedIn profile. So great way to get your content in multiple places. Here's where you can post your podcast. If you have a video you've done, you can process it and just strip out the audio and post it as an MP3 on these sites and pull that into your LinkedIn profile. Presentations and documents. Prezi is a really popular site, Scribed and SlideShare. And then you can do Behance or Quantcast, very popular sites. Here's the different file formats you can use. Like LinkedIn just wants you to post content. Here's SlideShare. If you've never had a SlideShare account, you can post. Start out as a place to put presentations, PowerPoint presentations. It gets tons and tons of traffic. And when you post content there, you get a huge audience there of millions of people. And LinkedIn purchased SlideShare a couple of years ago. So now you can link that content right into your LinkedIn profile and get lots of great exposure. Radio Reddit. This is another great place to put your podcast. And that pulls right into your LinkedIn profile. Now here's Pulse. Here's where you can create your own news feed of your own subscription. You pull content in from different sources. And in the morning you can just log in here and in a few seconds get a snapshot of what's going on in your world. You can get Wall Street Journal, New York Times, lots of content from everywhere and from expert authors. LinkedIn will recommend based on your profile and who else you're following, what kind of content you're subscribed to. They'll recommend this for you. Here's channels, and notice Leadership and Management has almost 11 million followers. That's the most popular channel. So each content is categorized in these different channels. Big Ideas and Innovation and Best Advice. Those are the three most popular I've seen would get the most profile views when the people post content. But There's technology, entrepreneurship, so lots of different categories for you to subscribe to. And then you can see what kind of content is getting the most traction. So this is now actually the second most popular LinkedIn publisher post ever. Kathy Caprino posted it. This is actually her first post ever on LinkedIn. And it went to number one, and it was just recently surpassed. But you see, almost 2.8 million people viewed it. 3,977 have liked it, 919 comments. So when you see this kind of content, you want to comment, like, and share it because you get into that mix and you associate yourself with Kathy Caprino. So here's Kathy's profile. Kind of just went through to find out who is this person. I've never heard of her, but I guess she writes for Forbes magazine. So she's got a huge following there. And she's been invited now to actually become a LinkedIn author. So here's her summary. So find these popular people like this and see what's in their profile and use what you think is working for them. Here she's a LinkedIn invited publisher. Just kind of see who she's connected to and connect with people in her network. Because if you're a coach, you want to be connecting with people that are following her because they're going to be some high-powered people. So here's the top post. This is how you find the most popular content. So as you see on the right side, top post today. So in just one day, Dr. Travis Bradberry has almost 42,000 people viewed this article. 1.7 or 1,700 people liked it, 296 comments. That's a lot for one day. And he's a LinkedIn influencer, so he gets a lot of traction, but just kind of see what people are talking about today. It gives you ideas for content. Here's the top post for the week. You can see, again, what's popular, what's trending this week, what are the hot topics, and just see, look at the headlines people use. Let me go back to that other one here. So here we've got 10 truths we forget too easily. People like the number 10 in there, or numbers in the headlines, or how seems to work really well. How to wow interviewers. The simple power. So look at the headlines people use are getting a lot of traction, and use that same strategy. The simple power of genuine kindness, a true story. People love stories. And also notice where they're posted. This one, How to Wow Interviews, is posting careers and getting started. And then Jeff Hayden posts a lot in leadership and management and company culture. So those are really hot topics. Here are the top posts all time. Dr. Travis Bradberry again, How Successful People Stay Calm. That's a lot of people want to read that one. And it's under best advice in leadership and management. So create content in those most popular categories and use the same strategy of headlines and read the articles and find out what they're talking about, because you can get lots of views. Kathy Caprino got almost 3 million views on her first post ever on LinkedIn. So I see Dr. Travis Bradberry, 3.6 million people have viewed this. This is the number one post of all time. And if you comment on that or like it, you get associated with all that, and a lot of people in your network and out of your network will see you. So here's some more headlines. 11 simple concepts to become a better leader. The biggest mistakes I see on resumes and how to correct them. You see what's grabbing people's attention. This is getting, people are looking at this as soon as they clicked on it and viewed the article. One thing successful people never do. It's under best advice in your career. So you get the idea. Look what's working and create your own version of it, and you can get lots of traction. So also, you can put content. Get your company page built and get lots of content on there. I don't have a lot of followers on mine yet. It's really kind of hard to get everybody to follow you everywhere. But for bigger companies, you'll get lots of followers, and those people will see this content exclusively. And it shows up in Google search results, which is really powerful. Also, look at for LinkedIn for alumni. It's a good way to connect with people that you went to school with. And also, you start building relationships there. And they start spreading the word about just, oh, I went to school with Ted and now he's a LinkedIn guy. So they start telling other alumni about it. So reconnect with people you went to school with and share each other's information. Here's LinkedIn groups. Here's some of the groups I belong to. Sharing your content in groups. There's a lot of it. Like I've said over and over, most of the content in groups isn't read. But somebody mentioned this to me a while back. Every week or every day, you get a summary of all the content posted in the groups if you want. If your name keeps reappearing, people just subconsciously keep seeing your name and think, wow, Ted must be an expert because he's always in this email. So that's just a subconscious perception there, but it's great way to get your name out there. So here's media professionals worldwide. This is a great way if you have a list or a group. This guy, the first post he did was, hey, tell us something about you and your business. And this thread has been going on since April 26, 2012. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people. This thread is still very active because every time someone joins the group, they add to this. So your name is in there somewhere, and if they actually look and see who's liked and commented and shared this, your name's going to appear. So it perceives you as being connected with media professionals. So here's the post. And I took this screenshot quite a while ago, actually. But he has over 1,300 likes, over 16,000 comments. And actually, I looked at it. There's over 20,000 comments now. So it's just going on and on and on. It's a great way to really get people to interact with you on a group, and also gets you out into the group as perceived as one of the experts. So consistency is the key to success. Really, it's not that hard. If you just constantly put content out there, people perceive you as the expert. It's not really that hard, but see what's working for other people. How are they getting all these views on their profiles and all these articles they're posting, and use the same approach, same headline, same type of content, and put it in the same categories, and you're going to see results. And that's it for this week's lesson. We'll see you on the group call.